good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Roderick F. Daly, also known as Kumbaya, also known as Rudy, also known as Ronnie, also known as Rod. It's coming to you live with the Village Radio Talk Show. Joining me today is my executive producer, Andre Dolman, who is on screen with me. Uh, you know, we're we're, we're we're glad to have and welcome all the villagers out there. You have Christopher Liu, our financial guru, who's here. Dr. Joanne Bryant will be joining us shortly. Our co-hostess, John L. Sampson, our co-host, and Sean Willisey, Sophia Willisey, our producer. So with all of that being said, welcome on board. Let's get started. Let's get cracking at 7:51 p.m. on a Holy Thursday, April 2. So welcome, welcome, welcome. How you doing, Andre?
Doing great, always thankful, always appreciative, and just cruising, man. Break start, break start today, so really want to just try and get a lot of things done. But I'm good otherwise.
Uh, how you doing, Mr. Lou? How's the money man doing? How's the money man doing?
The money man. I like hearing that. The money man is doing all right. I would say I'm just thankful for you, Roderick, and as you, Andre, as well. I just want to say you guys have always, from day one, treated me like family, and I really appreciate that. Been so welcoming.
Uh, that's a good. Uh, I thank you for that. Right. Thank you very much for that. All right. So let's get started. There's a lot going on around the world. We have well, the biggest thing right now is Iran and what's going on in Iran and 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 everything surrounding it. A few weeks ago, um, Donald Trump started a war in Iran, uh, firing off some missiles onto Iran, and since then there has been no turning back. We have expressed our thoughts in the show previously, but now it seems Iran is firing back and firing back onto Trump. Let me see. Today, what is it? Iran fires missiles at Israel and Gulf neighbors. Right? Iran launched a new missile, launched new missile aerial strikes against Israel. All right, and several Gulf Arab um, states, demonstrating continued offensive capabilities. Right, despite the U.S. claim of military degradation. Right, air raid sirens sounded in Israel and Bahrain, while air defense systems interrupted missiles over the Gulf, including near U.S. military bases. And not to mention, we have lost a number of
Soldiers.
soldiers and military personnel, either through friendly fire or pure foolishness as a result of this godforsaken war. Um, hey, Dr. Brian, and welcome. All right. Start. Any comments?
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I see you are up and popping and giving us energy. This war is crazy. It was unnecessary. Now, one person's decision affects so many. So when we make a choice to either do one thing or do something else, um, one decision can affect generations to come. So think before you act and don't think that you're reasoning. You got to look at both sides, how it impacts so many.
And,
Uh,
and Andre, go ahead. What you thought?
um, I I can agree about the unnecessariness of it, and I also think about um, how America has tried to maintain its self as a world power, as a world power itself. So I look at these things and just the condemnation of the taking of life. Yet this is something that continues to happen throughout history. It looks like it's something that it's
They can
always
hear you.
as you're not hearing me.
No, yeah, guy, I'm sorry.
And as long as there's financial markets too, you're gonna have stuff like this. This is all about money, oil. So as long as we have financial markets, it's gonna be something like this that continues. Maybe with the next president or the president after. So, but yeah, it's a despicable thing that continues to happen.
Yeah, and Andre, I just wanted to kind of chime in on what you were saying about the effect on oil prices, right? Like oil is now in the triple digits, right?
Yeah.
And when the price of oil spikes, I think it hits people in two different ways. I mean, I think anyone who drives a petrol-based car, not an electric car, has definitely felt the effect at the gas pump. And you've probably seen a lot of volatility in your portfolios as well. And look, like whenever energy costs go up, what does that mean? That means that more money is coming out of the household's ability to, purchase other things. So, and we're not just talking about the price of gasoline. If your home is oil heated, the price of your consumer heating oil is also going up, right?
So true.
So, and then it goes even beyond that, right? Like there are effects on businesses as well, because now the businesses, their profitability is shrinking, right?
Yeah.
So how does that affect stocks? When earnings get reported and their profitability is shrinking, the markets get affected like that pretty easily.
Certainly.
I think also just when you see oil like spiking and being so volatile, it just makes the whole market feel really nervous. And if you are focusing on specific sectors, if you think about sectors like airlines, think about how much fuel airlines are using, right?
Price.
Like your JetBlues, your Deltas, your American Airlines of the world, right? They are using so much fuel every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I read somewhere, you guys might need to fact check me on this, that some airlines have cut back some of their routes as a result of the oil prices.
No, that is true.
It's true? Okay.
And their price is triple.
Yep. Because, and a lot of times these businesses will try to pass their extra expenses onto the consumers, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then think about other sectors like transportation, right? Trucking. Like how much stuff are we moving every day via UPS and Amazon and we're
food. Don't forget the food too. That's the big one.
Retail and food. Mm-hmm. So look, it's the price of oil affects there's kind of like a ripple effect, I would say, on the economy.
Chris, you're touching on something that's like that people fail to touch on themselves, right? One thing has a direct negative impact on another, and the largest impact that people fail to see and recognize is the impact of greed, right? Because people are not charging you for what they're getting charged for. They're charging you for what they get charged for and then some, right? But before I continue, I'd like to say hello to all of our villagers out there who join us each week and to support the Village Radio Talk Show. So welcome all villagers, welcome all of you, welcome to to the Village Radio Talk Show, right? Where we're joined each week to bring you in any capacity the news, the areas of things that are happening around us. So the impact of greed around the world is 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 um is beyond, it's beyond measure, right? It's beyond measure. So you're talking about like, you know, yesterday was $110 a barrel. Of crude oil was $110 a barrel. In effect, that means that gas prices were, for high. I haven't been outside in a little bit. I haven't bought gas in a little bit. But I venture to say that gas at the minimum right now is averaging over $4.20 on the unleaded, not even on the super unleaded. So if you go to super unleaded, you're looking at closer to $5 um, a gallon, right? Which is not affordable. But then, so a business owner who's paying this is going to charge you for his car, her car, their prices of gas, right? They're going to go up and charge you for that as well. So not only are you paying for the price of gas for the car company, right? But they also charge you for the price of gas in their own personal usage, as well. Because at the end of the day, why should I pay when somebody else could pay for me? And that's a problem.
That's true.
And this actually brings up another point that I know it's something we've talked about in the past before, but this is something that puts pressure on inflation, right?
Mhm.
Because when the prices are having to go up to help these businesses recoup some of their additional costs, which goes back to the greed point that you were making, Roderick. It makes inflation a more difficult issue. It exacerbates what was already an issue. It exacerbates it even further. And can I just say one other thing? I wanted to talk about tariffs really quickly.
Go right on ahead. I was going to get to that.
Okay. I wanted to just share with you guys like this what happened to me earlier this week, maybe actually 2 days ago.
Oh, share.
So a family member, so we have my wife is Jamaican, as you guys know, and she has a lot of family up in Canada. And one of our cousins wanted to send my mother-in-law something for my mother-in-law's birthday, which is coming up at the end of this month. And so it comes to my home, but UPS won't release it to me until I go to ups.com and pay an additional $30.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
I had never had this happen to me before, but this was clearly from the tariffs.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I had to go to ups.com, pay the $30 in order for them to release the package to me.
So I can add
Pass it
this.
on to you.
Yeah. I usually get some clothes made internationally. And when they first mention the tariffs, something that would typically cost like $30 or $40 end up costing $120 for me to ship over. And I'm like, I can't afford, it's costing more than what it is that I'm making. I can't afford to have things done internationally. Now that would cost me less. It's amazing. So yeah, we feel it, the consumers, at the end of the day. But to charge you for them to hold it for hostage until you pay, that's a new low. And we could thank our wonderful president for that. Thank you, Mr. Trump.
you know, I, you know, the tariff situation is the tariff situation in America is a real issue, right? These regressive taxes, they are beyond our own imagination, right? Like people are not
Wow.
understanding the severity of it. What did Carlos say?
Carla said, okay, let's go back. Roger, you got the first one. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you, Mr. Daly. Carla says, someone said they are praying to ask God to move the gas from their stomach to the gas to the car tank. So that's funny, Carla.
It was
And
fun.
then she said, things are really insane right now. It's surreal. I love it.
Carla is funny, man.
Yeah, gas tank. I wish. From the chest to the gas tank. Yes. It is really something. But yeah, I don't know. Chris, I have a question for you. The road that we're taking slowly but surely, do you think we're going to hit a recession based on what you're seeing, the projections?
I definitely think the market is due for a correction.
Yeah.
Now, whether it stays, it goes into recession territory. It's for me, it still remains to be seen. But right now, it's just it feels like we're in a fog because there's so much volatility, there's so much noise
Mm-hmm.
that it's really hard to determine because the economy, in spite of like all of this issues with oil and geopolitics, the earnings are coming out decently good. Now, is there manipulation by the CFOs?
Of course.
Potentially, but all in all, the earnings are coming out pretty decently. So in the absence of this geopolitical issues,
Mm-hmm.
the economy seems okay,
Mm.
which is why I would hesitate from saying that we're heading towards a recession. But for sure, I think there's going to be some sort of correction. We can't keep going at this rate.
So, remember when the unemployment rate was skyrocket high and they showed it, and he ended up firing the person who was reporting it? So, I think fear has a lot to do with what people report, and it shows everything is going great. But now let's think about if this man decides, hey, we're going to attack Cuba. How do you think we're going to be impacted by this as well?
Yeah, I mean,
Don't forget that he says Cuba is next. Watch out.
Yes, yes, that part.
yeah, I think the more that we keep adding to our list,
Mm-hmm.
the worse it's going to get. And more countries are beginning to question what it is that our intentions are.
Yeah, they're separating. They're
Yeah.
actually isolating. We are isolated from everyone else. They're like, we don't want no part of this. I think that was the surprise for him because automatically he thought, hey, everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon. And everyone is saying, this is not my war. I didn't want any part of this. I never asked for this. So that's reality check for him, checkmate. And guess what? The same country you ignored and said, hey, you're not helping Ukraine. You need Ukraine for help in order to help your military base to deal with what's going on in Iran. So it's ironic because guess what? How you treat people, you think you might not need them later on, but it's going to come back to bite you.
It's very true.
I think that when we look at geopolitics and the world at large, right? We'll spend the last half an hour on the show talking about the effect of this war, this war that was brought on by Benjamin Netanyahu, who, again, and Donald Trump, who to me are right now at the world's top list of poor leaders, right? And I'm not going to say that getting rid of the missile issue in Iran wasn't a necessary evil to have gotten rid of, because it is bad. You don't want to see people hurting their own.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely don't want to say that because it's not true. Because we don't want anybody getting hurt around the world, anywhere around the world. We don't want to see that. But the timing of it,
After Venezuela.
right, right, the timing of it now becomes questionable, right?
Hmm.
And especially when you bring up Cuba, which might be next. The timing of the timing of it um, absolutely shows that um, that there's an alternative thought process
Hmm.
going into it. And I don't trust Netanyahu at all, right? I don't trust Netanyahu, right, in the least bit, um, right? I don't trust Netanyahu in the least bit in terms of his behaviors and what he has demonstrated so far to his neighbors and the people around him, right? So to me, um, what do we do, right? What do we do? So going further, the Strait of Hormuz, right? What's going on in how it looks at go towards further as you go further east, into India, into India, into Pakistan, into Afghanistan, and all the other parts of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to chime in to our talk. Um, Feel free to call us. Andre, what's the calling number?
It's 347-746-6598. That's 347-746-6598.
Okay, you got a couple of things. Let me share
Go
some
ahead.
the chat. Let's go back. Um, Myrtle Fleur said, "Good evening, everyone. Yes, it is good to see Mr. Daly." And then here is Benev, your favorite. Donald Trump just makes the war worse. Thank you for all our listeners. And Lakeisha Brown, 1745. Good night, Roderick. So nice to see you. Prayer up for you. So you're getting nothing but love, my friend. Nothing but love, which you deserve. All right, because you up, sitting, chatting, and starting this conversation lively. Look at that. Look at God.
Running my mouth, right? Um,
Listen, keep running it, my friend. Keep running it. The diarrhea don't stop. We love it.
yeah, and thank you again. Thank you to all of the villagers who are tuning in to our Village Radio Talk Show today and every day. Feel free to share the economic impact. I want to go back to the economic impact. Our CFA, right? Our money person.
Yes, talk about the money. We love that. And please,
Would,
can
would
you
you would you at this
Remember the
moment,
money. The money is connected to the war, and so remember that.
um, would you consider asking people say, hey, let's invest in oil, crude oil right now, because of the high inflation and it's not going to come down anytime soon? That'd be a suggestion. Why or why not?
So, are you talking about investing in the commodity itself, or are you talking about investing in stocks like ExxonMobil or British BP or stocks like that? What are you asking about more specifically?
And I wouldn't say invest, well, investment in companies. Well, let's tackle both. Why is it? When I think of investing company, I think investing in oil is something that if you're doing it, I think that's something you're gonna have to watch daily. Like people might hit greed and start investing and start losing the money if they're not careful because it's gonna go up and it's gonna go drop that down as Trump attempts to release more oil to offset the cost of oil worldwide on a global level, right? But also on the flip side, oil is going to be gaining a lot of money um, because the prices automatically will go up, and when the price go up, it will raise money. What are your thoughts on that?
So, I would say I have two thoughts. One is that it is extremely volatile. So even though recently we've seen spikes upwards, we've also seen it retreat since the war in Iran has begun, right? So we've seen a lot of ups and downs. So it almost feels like if you're trying to time it, timing is always something that's very difficult to do whenever you're investing in the markets, regardless of what type of investment it is. Timing is not
True.
something that I would ever suggest trying to do. Now, if you're my take is always I'm going to stay consistent on my take. We need to really stay focused on our long-term goals instead of trying to hit home runs.
Yeah.
So your question is almost like, do we swing for the fences here? And my answer is always going to be no. We can take little amounts because of how volatile it is. I would never ever recommend putting like all of your eggs in one basket. So if you want to get a little bit exposure to the volatility in oil, that's fine. Take a little bit of your portfolio and do that. And maybe you hit a home run with a little bit of your portfolio. But I don't think it's ever going to be a case where you throw all of it just because we see oil prices jumping so high. Put 50% of our portfolio in oil. I would never recommend that.
And let me say this too, really, right? It's like when it's jumping, that's when you miss the moves. Because then now be that person who's like FOMO, fear of missing out. Now you want to invest in the thing as it's moving. Then now you see it drops and you start panicking. Now you want to sell out of it. So it's like it's a research thing, and like Chris saying, you don't want to try to hit a home run. Focus on long term.
Andre, thank you so much for saying that, because we have to, as investors, we as hard as it may be, we have to take the emotion out of it. And really what we're trying to do is buy low and sell high. Not buy high and sell low. We want to buy low and sell high. And
buy high and sell low. I love that.
We definitely do not want to buy high and sell low. And honestly, if we're putting too much of our money into oil now, it's high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
it's the same thing as homes. That's the problem, because people aren't purchasing. So it becomes a major problem because they have too many stocks that is on the market that's not moving because of the interest rate, because of everything happening with the money.
Yeah, and then another thing, you mentioned the home prices, and buying a home is also it's kind of hard because a lot of people that have mortgages and who bought their home maybe like 6, 7, 8 years ago or longer ago have very low interest rates. And if they go into the market to try and buy another home, well, guess what? They can sell for a profit, but if they're buying a new home, now they're going to lock in a much higher interest rate than they had. Right? So are you prepared to have that monthly payment increase because you're buying a new home? So yeah.
And it's not a little, it's huge. It's more like, hey, if you purchase maybe 2 years ago or a year ago, your interest rate, or even a couple of months ago, your interest rate might, something at 650 might cost you around 39 or whatever. But right now, if you're buying at 650, you're talking about 4,500, close to 5,000. So it is really a significant difference. So if you want to purchase a house at 750, which is the going rate around here, because every house is worth 750 and above, you're talking about almost $6,000. So how do you survive in an economy like that in New York, first of all? And what do you do? Especially here, to add another layer, what the mayor was deciding to do to drop the price if you do want to transfer, if you do want to do at 750, which is the going rate of a house in New York. So it's crazy. What do you do?
So that, it's interesting, right? Because I mean, again, your mind is just going like we're so stuck, like we're spending so much time talking about the economic ramification of just one simple action, right? One simple action of of a war, right? Like, and it's a callous war, right? It's callous war that is affecting the average homeowner, and then now here in New York, switching the subject a little bit, Mayor Mamdani is looking at um, taxing homes or taxing inheritance taxes
Mhm.
um, for people for the small amount of money that you're leaving behind for your children, right? For your children, your first was at 7.1 million. Now you bring that down where you're losing all of this money that you started with. From 7.1 million to about 700,000. What's the point of having something where you're trying to build uh, longevity? You want to leave your kids a 30, 40, $50,000 to purchase a home, and they can't afford to do that because that money
Mhm.
is no longer good enough. And,
Can I just share something as you guys are talking about that? This is why trusts are so important.
Mm.
Because as a trust, if the trust is the owner of a home, the
Mhm.
trust doesn't die.
Mm.
We're all of us will die eventually at some point, right? But a trust doesn't die. So I think trusts are super important. And it's not really, to be honest, it's not really just for the wealthy to have trusts.
Can you
Everyone,
elaborate? Can you elaborate a little bit more about trust for those who don't know about trust?
yeah.
And
So
like you just mentioned, the importance of it.
yeah. So a trust is basically something that you create that allows you to, while you're still alive, make sort of directions. I know most people have heard of wills, right?
Mhm.
But a trust allows you to have a trustee, someone who that you believe is gonna um, work in the best interest, or be a fiduciary to whoever the beneficiaries are. And beneficiaries are really just the people that inherit the assets that are in the trust. Um, so a trust is really important because it allows you to retain control of how your assets get distributed when you're no longer around. And why it's important is for a few reasons. If you don't have a trust, there's this thing called probate court,
Mhm.
which is a public affair. And so if someone dies without a trust, well, now it's the probate court's job to distribute those assets according to the law. If you want to have your assets distributed privately, you have a trust. And then the public has no say. The courts have no say in how your assets get distributed after you're gone.
How difficult is it for someone to establish a trust?
So you typically would need to hire an estate attorney,
Mhm.
depending on the complexity of the assets and the things that are in your on your balance sheet.
Mhm.
It can be anywhere from a couple thousand to maybe like 5,000. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about a home that's $500,000,
Mhm.
or sorry, $750,000, do we want to
Leave
pay?
it to.
Yeah, do we
Mhm.
want to pay taxes on that, or do we want it to transfer without any sort of taxes? Not only that, but if you pass away without a trust, you have attorney fees that your heirs are going to have to pay an attorney.
Mhm.
Probate court, the court fees are, I don't know, anywhere from 12 to 15,000. Like, so you could easily be losing a good portion. It's not far-fetched to lose about 30% of your assets before they get transferred to your heirs in the absence of having a trust. So let's say you're looking to pass down $1 million to you're building a legacy, passing down $1 million. You could safely expect that only 700,000 will reach the intended recipients.
Yeah.
Now, if you spend a couple $1,000s on the front end to create a trust, you're shielding most of that. You're shielding most of it from any sort of penalties or taxes. Now, I'm not an attorney, so I would say we need to, if we're gonna set up a trust, we would need to get an attorney. I know Roderick has a good attorney.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So, yeah, it's definitely. And if you guys want to reach out to an attorney, I have a network of attorneys that I work with, and you could schedule a no-fee consultation with the network of attorneys that are in my network,
Yeah.
and you could see what makes sense and just get more education on trust, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't have enough knowledge about them. I just know why they're good, but they can give you a lot more details and the nitty-gritty stuff. And I'm happy to open up my network to anyone, any of the Village Radio talk show, and Roderick has a great attorney as well. So,
You know,
Thank
I know my attorney's gonna enjoy that shameless plug.
you.
No, Lakeisha.
Oh, Lakeisha, that it's
No,
not
so
the same.
are you saying a trust and a will? No, trust and a will are not the same thing.
no,
All
Right. Yeah.
will still has to go through probate court.
Mhm.
Trust bypasses probate court.
Which is crazy to me, because like, so why not have both then, since there's one still have to go to court, and it kind of creates this I just want to pass on to my people, I gotta have this, not to say
You don't
that-
really need both. It's more important to have a trust.
most people know about wills. That's, most people don't know about trust. It's quite something. Okay.
And I agree. I mean, I always say this is that I feel like our education system doesn't teach these things about money.
Why?
It doesn't.
So important to know.
Why would I do that, man? And take me out of power if I teach you, right?
Right. I mean, why would the courts want to give up revenue?
Yeah.
This is revenue for them.
Yeah.
Probate courts.
I missed that. So
Windows, and John, I think is on, but we're not seeing John.
yeah, I think John might be trying to get on actually.
Yeah.
For real, not sure.
We're gonna bring Linda on as well. Let's join the conversation.
Oh, where's Linda?
She's right there.
Hi.
Good.
Hello,
Linda,
everybody.
this is our other partner that's on right now. We have Chris Liu. I don't think you ever met him, but he is on. He's our CFA, talking about money, which we all need. Money, and investment. So, which is awesome. And Linda talks about, she is a counselor who talks about our well-being, especially in this climate, dealing with money, and how can we deal with our mental health in regards to this roller coaster of time that we're having.
Yeah, we're definitely in challenging times. This is scary.
Yeah, financially and emotionally. So that is for sure.
I was saying, hey, Linda, welcome
That is for sure. Welcome.
to the village. Um, Chris, going back a little bit real fast, and then we can get to you, Linda. Um, one of the strains in life is economics, right? One of the strain you think about the pressures at when you start thinking about the losing of money. That I try to instill one thing with all of my children. Um, it will work for some, and it definitely will not work for all. But try to instill that the number one priority is to have a place over your head. That you must. That's number one. Like whatever money you have, you secure a place to live. Because if you're outside, um, if you're outside, people will know. But if you're inside and you don't have anything, people won't know because you have a place to lay your head, and you never have to invite anybody into your own home unless you choose to. Having access to that means a lot. And one of the ways to get that done is, you're right, is to give them that startup. But again, we're going back to securing that startup for those children. How do we get our children to understand? Sorry. How do we get our children to understand from the mental component, Linda, and from the financial component, Chris, that that security, that need. We're talking about will and trust, and put money to the side. And we're talking about how the tariffs has affected us, and how the long term effect on I mean, there's so many things that we're talking about in the short period of time that we've been on air, right? But bringing them bringing them together now on the show. How do we get our trust from the mental to the financial to the will and trust to figure out what's going on to work together? How do we get that to happen? So I've segued to you, Linda, a little bit in terms of the mental component. So maybe you want to talk about that for a little bit.
Of course. I mean, I miss a big portion of the conversation, but I can certainly chime in on that. What I think, being that I am the child of a first generation immigrant family, one of the things that I had to do was do a lot of translating. We were involved in a lot of our parents' money issues, a lot of their transactions. I remember going to my parents' closing. I remember going to the bank, and my mom, back in the day, you had the little thing you had to fill out. So I think we kind of lost that with technology, and most people want to keep their kids out of the stress or the burden of finances and what they go through. But even with my own daughter, I remember showing her my budget, showing her, okay, this is how much things cost. So I think it's important for us to go back to including children into these conversations. Because the reality is they really don't know how money works. They don't know how to value money. And they don't understand that it's a tool that you have. It's you want to use it to get assets, because at the end of the day, if you don't have assets, you really just have cash that isn't really going to build any wealth. So I think the conversation should be about how do we include our kids into our money conversations, whether it's bills, whether it's building wealth. That's going to help them understand how the world works.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Linda. Like, I was about to say transparency, but maybe it's not transparency.
Mhm.
I think it's more about how you worded it, including them in the conversation. Because I have 3 daughters, and probably only my 11-year-old right now she probably has the best grasp of what it is that we're talking about right now. But I think in many households, unfortunately, money has become like a bit of a taboo topic. And really, it shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, when our kids are in the real world, this is something they're gonna have to contend with. And hopefully we're still around to guide them through some of the decisions that they're gonna have to make. But what if we're not? And we haven't had those conversations with them yet. Right? Like it's important to have these conversations, and be as open as possible about it, because they're gonna have questions, and that's great. We want them to ask the questions before they get out in the real world and have to make mistakes on their own and figure it out by making mistakes, because I feel like that's what happened to me. That's what happened to my wife. We had to make mistakes on our own before we figured out how it should be done. And if we can bypass that by passing down the knowledge that we have, I think that's how we make it less of an issue for them in the future.
That's good. I enjoy that conversation that you guys just had, because it is the truth. You know, the way that social media put up this facade that, hey, you just get on Instagram and you get 1,000,001 followers, you start earning money, or you can do OnlyFans and that's it, and go from there. So it's the wrong idea, the wrong information, and they're getting it like, a get rich scheme that happened overnight. And when they realize that that's not how life works,
You know?
it's difficult. That's why you got a gentleman robbing banks, 6 to 8 banks in New York City, which you haven't heard in a while, but like going through different banks and just like, hey, it's not a big deal. So it's serious out here.
And just to piggyback off of what you're saying too, Joanne, I think social media plays a big role in the misconception of money. You know, you see people throwing money around or spending or purchasing these high ticket items. And now you have kids who's like, yeah, I want a Birkin.
Mhm.
You want a Birkin? So you're absolutely right. So it is about having that balance where, okay, we're allowing them to explore the internet, but they should also have some wherewithal that, yeah, $42,000 for a bag and is not a smart idea when you don't even make $42,000 a year.
Yeah, and that's the truth, because the thing is, when you are wearing things that cost so much and you're jumping on the train, or if you're purchasing cars that's over 6 figures and you're parking them on the street, does that really make sense when you become a target for robbery? So
Mhm.
the safety aspect of it is also part that people tend to disconnect and forget about.
Mhm.
So I know Andre, Chris wanted to share his information, and Stargirl, welcome back. Roderick, can you share your lawyer's information, or Chris share your network, please? Love that.
Yeah, I was gonna just say if you give me a text or give me a call, I can, get you scheduled with an attorney or a paralegal to. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Andre behind the scene doing it. Thank you, Andre.
And where would you
That's
like
why
to eat then?
he jumped behind the scene. He was like, "Yeah, I need to get off screen." So Roderick, we still got to continue to work on Andre.
You
Every
know,
opportunity he jumps off.
I know, right? Jump off and jump off quick and fast, right? He's like, oh, gotta go, gotta go. He's not used to being on the air just yet, but he'll start learning, start liking. I want to go back. Uh, we were talking about something, and I lost my train of thoughts um, on mindset, right?
Mhm.
Mindset. Building a free mind economically, right? Building a free mind economically by producing will and trust, right? So let's build that mind, right? By learning to improve our financial literacy,
Mhm.
right? Right? Building your free mind by building financial literacy, financial strength, right? Avoid financial anxiety. And
Mhm.
on top of that, learning about how to spend money, right? Learn how to spend money and save money and learn to have access to that money. Does that make sense? Like,
Makes sense.
so they're looking at the two components of it, and now those things are of paramount importance. But I want to go to go back to something that is happening right here in New York, right? Um, I want to switch a little bit. Still talk about finances. Still talking about um, mental health. Still talking about um, growth, and talk about um, young people. We all deal with young people to a large extent, right?
Mhm.
We all deal with young people to a large extent. We're talking about it. We're older. How do we get them to understand? How do we get them to understand what we're talking about? That's a question to all three of you. And none of you can throw it out. How do we begin to get them to understand that that compass, right? That compass of financial gain, financial literacy, providing a roof over your head, providing long term, raising wealth, and the difference between wealth and being wealthy and being rich, right? It's two different things, right? I'm never going to be wealthy, right? But it doesn't mean that my children cannot be wealthy nor rich, right? At this present moment, I'm working on being rich, which might or might not get there, but rich leading to wealth.
Can I add one more thing to that? What you just said is great. You have all of that component um, about rich, wealthy, financial literacy, building portfolio. But also, at any given point, someone could become sick. How do you prepare for that too? At any given point, a young person can fall sick. Looking at also tragedies that happen, those are also component of that because our young folks are always thinking they're invincible. That hey, I'm gonna be here for 100 years, and none of that is gonna impact me. But how do we combine everything together to say, hey, you know what, as you're spending $200 on alcohol, or hey, you going out and you just living it like, there's no tomorrow. How do you prepare for that? Where is that preparation for the rainy days? Or hey, you know what, if my mom gets sick, or if I'm out of work, like look at all the TSA workers as well. How do you mentally and physically prepare for that as well?
sorry, it's a good point, right? These are all good points. Linda, Chris, you guys have anything that you want to add?
And not only for young people,
You
adults as well.
Go ahead, Sharon. I mean, Linda.
So I know even when I'm working with a client, we have a treatment plan, and the treatment plan has goals. So one of the first questions I ask is, what would you like to accomplish during our time together? And people will share. It goes back to that too, applying some of the same principles to your life about goals, having conversations, and mentorship is important too, right? So having the right people who can encourage you to have goals. So goals are pointless if there's no action, right? So there has to be action with the goal. So if the goal is, I want to be rich, what does that look like? What actions are you going to take on a yearly basis, monthly basis, weekly basis to achieve that goal? So it does have to start on the micro level with, okay, I can only afford to put $10 away. I know I keep referencing my daughter, but she's a spender. She likes her $10 coffees. She likes spending, and she likes nice things. So instead of spending the one paycheck on this big ticket item, save for it. Okay, let's say it was $200. Say you could put away $10. So creating a goal and action steps towards that goal helps you understand that, look, I earn it. It feels better when you know that you saved up for it. Now you got this prize that you saved up for, and it only builds the habit, right? So now you're able to do it with other things. So it could start small with, okay, I want to get this fancy watch, but goal setting, going back to the basics of setting small goals and building off of that.
I really
Chris, what's the minimum, Chris, that you want to tell you? What's the minimum you have your own kids starting off? What do you want to start off at? Is there like a age goal ratio in terms of economic goal?
Oh man, I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question before. And to be honest, when I first started having kids, I don't think I was thinking about that. Like if there was a specific threshold that I needed before I could have kids. But planning is, and I just wanted to double down on what Linda was saying. Having a goal, like if that's one of your goals to have a kid, well, it's important to have a plan in place to figure out, like, and back into it. Linda, I think you were saying that as well. Like, if you know what rich looks like, maybe rich looks like being a millionaire. Then how much do I have to earn every year to accomplish that? Same token with having a kid. If I know I want to send my kid to college someday, which that's a whole nother conversation. The price increase, we talked about inflation before you joined, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
And inflation in academia is just so far out of control. In fact, where Roderick and I both went, all these schools are really trying to avoid being the first to charge six-figure tuition. Like they're literally planning it out to figure out oh well, in 2028, maybe that's when we can cross that 6-figure mark. So I don't know if I have a perfect answer to your question, Roderick, but knowing the goal and then working reverse engineering how much you will need to save is one way to accomplish that. Yes, I see Carla McKenzie. Yeah, we need to get out of this private stuff. We need to transfer knowledge to our kids.
I think that that is the biggest thing. Having conversations with your children about finance, having conversation about responsibilities, having conversation about health. You know, we tend to be a society that is living on taboo and afraid to have difficult conversations with the little peoples, with the adults, you know, being too private and saying, hey, you could be sick, but you won't say anything. And then later on, you find out, hey, I could have helped. I could have done this, or I could have. So that tends to leave of a trail of regrets, and we don't want to live in a stage of regret. We want to live in a stage of educating people. We do want to live, I guess, in the village. Our purpose to continue to educate people, to continue to empower people, continue to reach out to communities to say, hey, we can do this way. And also give people flowers when they are still alive and not wait until the past, um while in it as well, educating on every aspect from finance, like what you brought up, Chris, and Linda, what you brought up, in regards to, hey, our mental health, but also health throughout. And I think, Roderick, you started this show as a way to continue to show people that, hey, we got to get back to the village. We got to continue to share out. We got to continue to empower others. So it just gives me, as we're having this conversation, I just think about you, Roderick, and your purpose in creating the show was to educate, um, to empower, and we try to do that as often as possible, and in it to celebrate others. So we don't want no regrets. We want to continue to live in purpose and live to pull one another along the way, and to help them along the way. So thank you, fearless leader, for creating this platform to continue to empower others as you continue to push on. So you give us life and strength daily with your big mouth. We appreciate you.
I
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
totally agree.
Well said.
Yeah, this is a awesome platform, and just going back to the piece about educating our children,
Hmm.
it's actually, for me, one way to make sure that I actually know what I'm talking about. When I have the opportunity to teach my children something, not only does it make me reinforce the knowledge in my own head, but it also may surface some questions coming from my kids
Hmm.
that push me in a way to say, hey, Jasmine, that's my oldest daughter's name. Jasmine, I never really thought about it that way, but you're right. Like, and I oftentimes get questions because I love that my oldest daughter, she's so curious and asks a lot of questions, and she really pushes me. And I think it's just so great to be able to transfer that knowledge. And just going back to Carla McKenzie's point,
Hmm.
we have to get out of that cultural tendency. And I definitely felt like there was that tendency in my home.
Hmm.
But now that I have my own family, I'm trying to break that
Yeah.
break
Yeah.
that cycle.
It's also connected to our own trauma, right? We tend to carry shame around not
Hmm.
having enough.
Mhm.
not being able to provide the way that we want. And talking about it is a reminder that, oh, wow, I can't get you what I would want to give you. So you kind of suppress it. And what tends to happen is we overcompensate and give a false illusion, a false idea of what we really can do with our children. And by keeping things secret, we're actually depriving them of life skills, so it is important to have these tough conversations. And honestly, children are more resilient than we think they are. And you kind of want to also teach characteristics that's going to help them become good stewards of money, teach them empathy. I mean, I work with kids now. The empathy is like non-existent. So you there's certain characteristics you are going to teach your kids. So going back to a goal, most immigrant families come here because they want the education. They want your kid to be educated, and that right now we're fighting that. To your point, Chris, there is this battle on whether or not college is the right way. But when you're sharing with your kids, listen, there's opportunities that I missed out on, and if you want to be better than me, you're gonna have to do certain things. So they do need to see it, and they do need to adapt to this idea of resiliency, that life is tough, but you could still push through. And our children do not have resiliency. They give up at the slightest defeat. We know that suicide rates are high, depression rates are high. It's just really difficult to get kids to be okay with failing, right? Be okay with discomfort. And that comes with us including them into certain conversations appropriately, right? Your child shouldn't be your sounding board with your stress.
Yeah.
We're talking about, things about budgeting, things about how money is spent, how money's allocated, bank accounts, right? There's so much that we do in our day to day. Those soft skills that we take for granted, they don't have that. I have kids who don't know how to spell their parents' names. They don't know when their parents' birthdays. They don't know if their parents are married or not married. Like basic household information. When you're working with the FAFSA, you realize
they don't even know what their parents do.
Say it again.
They don't even know what their parents do.
They don't know what their parents do. They don't know their sibling's birthday. I used to complain about them not knowing their address, but you don't know personal information.
Yeah, phone numbers. Phone numbers. Let me tell you, phone numbers. I'm guilty of that. Since we have the cell phone, it's just like, okay, memorizing the numbers.
Yeah, I have a friend sitting in my room right now that I'm always cursing because she don't remember any numbers. But to be honest with you, numbers is small in compared to some of these big things we're talking about. You know what? We didn't get to a lot of topics. We only have like 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna throw a topic out there. A few things that have happened. I'm gonna say Chris. I'm gonna go with Linda. Chris, Linda, 30 seconds on the topic and just talk about it.
Rapid fire.
Chris, yesterday, Donald Trump went to the Supreme Court. First time that a president has gone to the Supreme Court to talk about birthright citizenship. How do you think, when you're thinking about generational wealth and longevity, how do you think that will impact if birthright citizenship was to be denounced? How do you think it affect the American families? 30 seconds, popcorn.
Oh
my gosh, is that it? That's a trick question, because of course that has an impact. I don't even know how to elaborate on that. It's can I pass?
10 seconds.
Listen, I'm
That's
going
10
there.
seconds,
I
you have
don't
to
know
speak.
if there's Trump supporters out there. I am not apologetic. Listen, the reality is, if first of all, let's pray to God that that does not get reversed.
Mhm.
The amount of people that this will affect, it will be the whole country. So they like to paint this picture that it's only people of color who benefit from these things. It's the whole country was built on immigration. And what this administration is trying to do, you know, when I hear people say, oh, what about the other option? The other option wasn't any better. The other option wasn't trying to take away your rights. They have slowly been ripping away small things that they don't announce in the news, stripping away our rights. So if birthright citizenship gets erased or gets reversed, we're in big trouble.
All right.
We're in big trouble.
Chris, since you passed, you get another question. Trump, 202 Americans filed for unemployment for the first time last week. 202,000 Americans filed for unemployment last week.
Yeah, huge impact. And I feel like it's going to continue to get worse. I think AI and how swiftly things are moving with Gen AI is going to eliminate a lot of jobs. And I think I think it started a few months ago, or maybe like almost a year ago, and I think it's just going to continue to accelerate. And it's scary. It's scary. I just feel like I keep harping on the fact that college education is so expensive nowadays, and whether or not there is a return on investment, because when someone graduates with an undergraduate degree, are they really set up to earn income? Are they set up to, if they had to take student loans to pay that 6 figures worth of student loans, are they going to be able?
Health insurance? They might become like one of our listeners text. They might become an entrepreneur, but don't have health insurance. So then you get sick, and then what? So that part.
All right. And the last thing, though, I got to talk. This is it, because now this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We got to go. It's been great talking to everyone. So happy birthday to anyone who I might have missed, right? Anyone, a happy birthday. Today's what date? Oh, I missed my brother's
April
birthday.
2nd.
Both my brother and my sister-in-law's birthday earlier this week, at the end of last weekend. Everell and Tanya, happy belated birthday. So forth. We're going through a couple of those things, but I don't want to touch that one. Don't want to touch that one.
So before you get on, we want to tell you we love you. I said before you get off, we want to tell you we love you. We absolutely adore you. You continue to be that fearless leader that we need. Continue to run that diary of a mouth. Keep talking, keep smiling, keep bringing joy to people. And thank you for continuing to fight, because you stand and you keep pushing through. So thank you for showing God's love, that no matter what you face, that you're going to live, you're going to play dominoes, you're going to live and travel, and you're going to show your mouth again, and you're going to hear his voice to say what? The Village Talk Show.
Yeah, well, thank you. Next week we're gonna have a very interesting show. We have a lot to talk about, but I'm looking forward to that. Chris, Linda, thank you so much for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being a participant through your voice, through sharing on screen, through sharing with others. But don't forget to do not fail to subscribe, share, and participate on the Village Radio Talk Show. I'm Roger Daly, your host. Joining me is our co-hostess, Dr. Joanne Bryant, our co-host, John Sampson, our producer, Sharon. I don't know. I keep
Sophia.
saying Sharon. Sophia Willisey, our guest host, and CFA, um, uh, Chris Louv, our guest speaker, Linda, and I feel like I'm forgetting my
Andre.
name.
Andre,
Our
your right hand.
no, somebody, our executive producer, Andre Doman. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much and happy belated birthday to all. And God bless each and every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great
Safe
night.
travels, Linda, tomorrow. Have fun.
Oh, yeah. And all New York City Public School children, enjoy your spring break. Happy Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Passover.
And
Mm.
Easter.
Yes, and Easter.
All the things.
All right.
Yes.
God bless. Enjoy.
All right.
God bless.
Have a good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.